Welcome to Meeting of the Minds on December 21st, the vernal solstice, not the vernal solstice, the winter solstice. The days will be getting longer. And as they get longer, we're having a celebration of Ayn Rand's birthday on February 2nd here in Florida, Southwest Florida, in Fort Myers. There's going to be a 3-day conference climaxing on her birthday. So it'll be January 30th, 31st, February. No, I got that wrong,
Yeah,
didn't I?
February 1, that's all right.
February 1 and February 2. That's 4 days. So 30th is, Lynn, do you want to clear up this calendar? Lynn Sinzer is the organizer.
Yes, I do, Harry. So the conference begins with a reception Friday night, the 30th. We have talks on the 30th and 31st. No,
31st and
31st
1st.
and 1st. And the banquet is actually on the eve of her birthday, the February 1st, because everybody decided we'd rather have it on a weekend than have it on the actual day. And we will be doing an optional event on February 2nd, and other people will be going home on her birthday.
So it's the weekend plus saying goodbye on her birthday.
Right.
And the banquet dinner is on Rand's Day Eve, a concept that has not been formed before, but now we have it, Rand's Day Eve. Okay. Since this may go up on on YouTube, sorry, as an attraction, let me say that Rand's Day is Ayn Rand's birthday, celebrated as a holiday of a unique kind. On Rand's Day, you give yourself a present, something that you ordinarily wouldn't buy for yourself because it's a little bit too much of a luxury and you're a practical, hard-headed, realistic person. But on Rand's Day, you recognize that part of objectivism or philosophy is that pleasure is a profound psychological need and therefore an existential need of a human being. So you want to celebrate yourself, your pleasure in living on Rand's Day. And the conference that we're having is to help you do that by giving you both uh, intellectual pleasure, intellectual profit, intellectual gain, and social positives as well, social values, which will climax, perhaps the climax will be the trivia contest, which I will hold. The trivia contest is a beloved event, a tradition of 1 year in which I give a quote or a fact or something from Ayn Rand's novels and ask who can identify the source of it. For instance, I might say, or did you, Miss Francon? And ask you where that is said in the Fountainhead. That's a little bit too hard because I myself don't know the answer to that one.
But feel free to put your ideas in the chat.
We are going to showcase or sneak preview some of the intellectual content of the conference by having some of our speakers summarize, or not summarize, tease with some of the discussion of what it's going to be like today for the upcoming conference. So I'm going to start. I'm speaking on how to study Ayn Rand's writings. Some of you were probably amazed by the lecture course I gave in 2 parts on Ayn Rand's speech and then essay, The Objectivist Ethics. at how much I was able to extract of interesting, unprecedented, gem-like quality from that 1 hour speech. I think in the end, I gave 28 half-hour meetings, 14 hours plus Q&A on that speech. The reason I was able to do that is that I've studied that speech. I have studied it with intensity and repetition and word by word. And I studied it again in preparation for this course, which is still available on recording, available at popular prices. So what I'm going to be talking about is the method of studying Ayn Rand's writings. Of course, it's generalizable to the study of any good writing, but there's no writing as dense and yet seemingly self-evident and obvious and clear as Ayn Rand's. So Ayn Rand's writings present a special difficulty in that you read it, and if you've got the premises that is going to lead you to agree to it, you say, yeah, of course, yeah, right. I was going to say that, but I didn't think of it myself quite yet. Yes, oh, good point, yes. And it just goes through you. It's so easy to take in, and yet so rich in deeper meaning if you look at it, that it poses a special problem that you don't find in 99.99% of other writing. So what this course shows you is how to dig in to Ayn Rand's writings to extract the value that is beneath the, yeah, of course, good point, yeah. And what I'm teaching is a method, not just tactics. There's some tactics, but what I present in this talk is how to systematically use your mind, including your emotions, to help extract the value that's lying beneath the surface. I have a section on monitoring your cognitive feelings, which is something that I don't think maybe one other person, Lee Pearson, talks about this, and maybe my wife, Jean. Yeah, you talk extensively about it, Jean, in your class, but the three of us are the only people in the world who talk about cognitive signals, feelings from your subconscious that can aid you in knowing where to turn your mind and what questions to ask. Feelings, of course, are not tools of cognition, but they're adjuncts to cognition that can help you understand. They don't tell you what's true, but they give you an indication of what's worth looking at and what questions you can ask and answer. So it's about a 1 hour talk, and then there'll be a question period afterwards, because there is a lot to say, and I do it in the concrete. I take statements of Ayn Rand's and show how you can analyze them much more profitably than just reading them and saying, good point, great, glad to hear it. I think I should now call upon Peter Schwartz to talk about his talk.
For your
What?
talk, Harry, before you go
You
on,
want to
Peter?
say something about my talk?
Yeah. So, I mean, Harry gave a version of this
30
many
years ago.
Yeah. When
30
he
years,
and I,
31 years ago, I think.
yeah. When I think before we were married, and we were dating, and it made such a difference. This methodology made such a difference in my life. And that's, you know, I mean, it is somewhere, that old talk is available on the Ayn Rand e-store, but it doesn't have, it's not out there in the world. I think it's a really important topic.
And
Looking
of
forward
course,
to it.
I can't help myself from updating it and
Yeah.
improving it as I look at it 30 years later.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward.
So thanks for that boost, Gene. And Peter Schwartz, what are
Yeah.
you speaking on?
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about how to write clearly. Now, I imagine that most of you are familiar with Ayn Rand's view on when she was asked what are the three most important elements of writing, and she said they're clarity, clarity, and clarity. And it's an important point because many think that, you know, the important part of writing is to get the embellishments right, to get, you know, a nice turn of phrase or a clever metaphor. And these are really very, very secondary. The essence of clear writing, which is the same as the essence of writing as such. There's no writing, which is, there's no communicating an idea unless it's clear. You need to know how to achieve clarity in writing, and that's what I'm going to be discussing. Now, I'm going to start by giving a prerequisite. The prerequisite before you can even get to thinking about how to achieve clarity, which is understanding the difference between grasping an idea and communicating it, knowing something and conveying it to others. Those are two separate activities. And unfortunately, some people get diverted by trying to, or not trying to, but failing to recognize the demarcation between the two. And they try to, if they don't quite understand something, well, I'll understand it when I write it. So I discussed the importance of keeping these two things separate and why they're a precondition for getting to how clarity is to be attained in your writing. Then when we get to clarity, I will be discussing the key, the single most important tool to use in achieving clarity, which you'll have to come to the talk in order to hear the answer for. So this is just sort of a teaser. Other things I'll be discussing is the crucial role of an outline, the indispensable role of an outline. The outline is a guide to your writing. It allows you to see a condensed structure, a condensed logical structure for your writing. And it's a guide. It enables you to know where you're going in the process of writing. Your outline tells you, okay, you're at this point, now make that point, now make that point. You're not just, in effect, writing blind, writing just from, quote, inspiration. You're writing based on the instructions, the guidelines that you have prepared in advance. Another important point I'll be covering is the need for the writer to understand the difference between the writer's context and the reader's context, the writer's context of knowledge and the reader's context of knowledge. You have to decide what knowledge on the reader's part you can and cannot assume. And this is very important. You have to really name it to yourself. From there, once you do that, you can decide what new knowledge you must convey. In other words, you tell yourself, okay, the reader knows ABC. I can assume that. I don't have to restate that. And since I'm assuming he knows ABC, I can then proceed to present D, E, F, and so forth. I'll also discuss an important principle about how deeply you have to go in presenting an idea to your reader. And this is particularly troubling occasionally to objectivists, because we understand there's a hierarchy of knowledge, and everything depends on everything. And if you go back to the beginning, it starts from existence exists. So writers are sometimes troubled by how far back do they need to go? Where can I stop? Where can I start? I'll be discussing at some length an important principle here for you to understand to answer this question. And finally, I'll be discussing the different roles played by your conscious mind versus your subconscious at the various stages of writing. You go through a number of stages in writing, and at some stages, the subconscious is let's call it the more important driver. At other stages, it's the conscious. Now, there's always an interaction between the two. But as I say, at some points, one becomes more dominant or more the driver, and others, it becomes more the passenger. And I'll be discussing that in the talk. So I'm hoping that after you hear this course, this lecture, you'll find it easier to achieve clarity in your writing. And this applies to anything you write. It could be a short letter, a blog, an op-ed, a book, whatever it is. And it applies to oral presentation as well. Whatever it is, these are the steps that you need in order to make your writing clear, which means in order to make it successful.
Thank you. It sounds very good.
I hope so.
Exciting.
I think we can all use that. We can all profit from that. I know I can. So next, I'd like to call upon Jean, my wife, to talk about what she's going to speak on.
So there's a theme here between Harry, Peter, and me, because we're all rather psychoepistemological in our topics. So that that very much appeals to me. So my topic is reliance on your power to think. And if you didn't recognize that, that's one of the characterizations Ayn Rand has for self-esteem. The reason I have this topic I chose this topic, is I think I do have a kind of a new and interesting perspective on self-esteem that comes out of my perspective on psychology as a whole. So I started as a psychoepistemologist, and I've now concluded that you need to look at not just cognition, not just thinking as an interaction between the conscious mind and the automatic functions of memory and the affect system. You need to look at motivation that way, and you need to look at action that way. So, and the three are interrelated. Just as Harry was saying, you need to have, there are kind of emotions about how cognition is going, but there's also cognition about how motivation is going. And there's an action is how you trigger these things. You take action in the world, you get to a new place in space and time, and that brings up a new context, which then triggers new thoughts and feelings. So you need to see how these three are interrelated, and I think this is very relevant for understanding self-esteem. A lot of times when we talk about self-esteem, it sounds like all you need is, I mean, this is the actual definition: conviction that one is able to live and worthy of living. And the conviction is, that is the essence of it, right? It's conviction, not just premise, because a conviction is a conclusion that is not just not just something that you believe is true, but it's integrated into your value hierarchy so that it has a power behind it when it occurs to you. It has has an intensity behind it, and it can bring up that context. And that is the critical issue, that you need to be able to bring up the context that you're able to live and worthy of living, actually rather concretely, in situations where you are running into trouble. And the most obvious signal that you're running into trouble and you need to bring up this context is when you're experiencing guilt or frustration, which are sort of the opposite, right? Guilt is the emotion that comes from thinking you've done something wrong. So, it's if you would generalize that to I am wrong, that would be not worthy. Now, not that you should do that. You shouldn't do that. And guilt is, you're actually thinking that there's some moral issue here, and that needs to be attended to. And one of the things I say about guilt is, if you're still feeling about guilt about something in the past, it means you haven't learned everything from that incident yet. And that is how you process that, but that's also necessary in order to activate, a self-esteem context, which is needed to be able to take action. If you don't think that you can live and act in the world, it's very difficult to take action. Similar with frustration. When you feel frustrated, this is the emotion that comes from the idea that you are putting in effort and you're not getting the results you want, which means you have a goal. It's an important enough goal. You're actually trying to achieve it, and it's not going as you want. And this is personal, right? This means there's something about your strategy for going after the goal that is not working. And this is real. Frustration is a signal. Now, sometimes you conclude that the frustration, in effect, you need to work through the frustration. You need to embrace the frustration because this is going to be a frustrating process. But at a certain point, you need to actually look at your strategy and say, well, there's some mistake in how I'm going about doing this, which is causing it to not succeed, because you shouldn't be in frustration most of the time. Frustration is a signal that you probably need a little course correction. And so these two emotions are actually very important for being able to introspect, to be able to maintain forward momentum on whatever you're doing. And I think that, so my perspective is that you really need to be able to handle these, and self-doubt, self-doubt is like, if you have guilt and frustration in a more extreme form, that's self-doubt. And you need to be able to catch that as soon as it comes up and course correct. And how that all works, that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about my understanding of how, the role of memory, the role of values, the role of skills. And really, the bottom line is that you can do this, but practically, how do you do this in the heat of the moment? Because that's when you need it. You really need to be able to course correct in the heat of the moment so that you don't get diverted into some kind of vicious cycle where you're criticizing yourself. Now, I think, some people who are concerned about their own self-esteem or their own success, this will be very interesting. For people who don't actually think they have any issue in this, which is great, I'll just point out that when you set a new goal, when you set an ambitious goal that's something beyond your skill level, you will at the very least experience new forms of frustration and probably, in certain cases, self-doubt, because you're doing something difficult and there's much bigger risk of failure. It's really, how do you deal with failure? Failure is a predictable step along the way to achieving an ambitious goal. An ambitious goal, to me, that's a goal that you don't yet necessarily know how to achieve or have the skill to achieve, or maybe have yet the strong enough passion to achieve. And that all is learnable. That all is, all my work is about how do you retrain your mind to have the knowledge, the skill, and the passion you need to be able to achieve these big goals. And we're going to be talking about all that in the context of self-esteem. So I think I'm actually quite excited about this. This is kind of applying a lot of things I've worked on for a long time to a very sexy topic. So that's
the surprising thing. It's understandable how you would say that you can learn how to activate the knowledge and acquire the skills, but you're also saying you can learn how to get the motivation, the passion for it.
Yes.
So that would be extremely valuable for the less passionate among us, or less passionate about the thing they would like to be passionate about.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you're convinced that something would be good to do, meaning it would be morally good for you to do this, and yet you're not motivated, that is going to undercut your sense of self-esteem.
Yeah, you're not going to do it.
And you're not going to
Or at least it's going to take you forever.
Or it's going to take you forever, and you're going to feel bad about that. And you're not going to have a sense, you're going to have a sense that you're not, living your full life, that, you're not actually able to live in the way that you want to live. It matters.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean. But I see Ellen is here. But
Shoshana
Ellen,
too.
And Shoshana's here? That
Yes.
I didn't see. But I think we ought to take a little refresher to talk about some of the organizational and non-speech facets of the conference. So, Lynn, you said you wanted to talk on that?
Yes, I do.
Good.
So first of all, I wanted to, a lot of people know this, but I had the idea for this conference in 2020 was the first year I thought about doing it. And so I love this conference. I love the idea of it. I love Rand's Day. Rand's Day, celebrating the greatest hero of my life and probably of yours, Ayn Rand, and celebrating her life and her achievement, which is her philosophy, and also doing it in a way that integrates many of her ideas and learning more about those ideas through the speakers that we have, and how to apply those ideas and how to understand them better, and then even how to communicate those ideas to others. So all of that to me is the reason why I'm excited about this conference, and I have been excited about the idea of the conference for a long time. And I think of this as a celebration of life on Earth. Not life in the hereafter or wherever other people think that life is, but life in the life here on Earth where we live, and of community. We don't often talk about celebrating community. We kind of, in some places, people kind of shy away from it. But this is a community of people with shared values, our deepest shared values. And it's fun. It's just fun to get with people and talk to them. And we have the conferences spread out over 2.5 days. We have the opening banquet or the opening reception with food and drink. And then we have, this time we even are thinking about having a game night afterwards. So having the opening reception till about 8:30 and then playing games, board games or other games on Friday night. And we'll be sending out information about that to the participants over the next few, probably in the next week or so, right after Christmas. We're also then, we allow time for lunch and dinner, and the hotel has worked with us to provide a luncheon every day. It's, I think it's $13 or $14 a person. And it's not included in our price, but it is a very reasonable dinner. And that means you stay on property and talk to the people, and you don't have to go off property to eat. Although you can, there's plenty of
This,
time.
this is the same hotel as last year and the same
Yes,
service
right.
because the food was quite good for the lunch.
And then we have the talks are an hour and a half, and we have a few minutes in between each one, about a half hour in between each one, so that you have time to talk with each other and to really develop relationships or renew relationships with people that you know. And it's a friendly group of people. And then the dinner that culminates in our banquet. And the banquet is a tradition for the group down here in Southwest Florida, about 15 years or so, maybe more. And it is a banquet where at the conclusion of the banquet, we will hear quotes read from Ayn Rand, favorite quotes of people, short, celebratory quotes, things that are positive. And that's the whole purpose of this conference. This is to present life as it could be on Earth, should be on Earth, in a positive, friendly way. Not saying we aren't going to talk about some things that are negative, but the focus of the conference is on what we can do, not what we can't do. And I guess that's it.
Thank you.
We
That's
have
good. That's good.
Shoshana and Ellen yet to talk about. Don
Yeah.
Watkins is
Wait,
coming.
Lynn, do you want to also mention, that was a very good description of what they can look forward to. You also mentioned some of the things about the hotel, in addition to that lunch that they're offering. If they sign, the hotel offers free buffet breakfast, 3 mornings. If you sign up with the hotel, and it's a very good breakfast. It's not just some slapdash thing. It's a really good breakfast. So there's that. And tell them about the taco night, the taco deal.
Oh yeah, Friday night in addition to just regular kind of appetizer and so forth foods that we have available. They also do taco night, and you get, I think it's 2 free tacos we buy for you, and there you can have them of steak, pork, um, fish. I don't remember. I think there's 4 different kinds of tacos that you
Chicken.
chicken, maybe. Yes, thank you. And it was a big hit. A lot of people like that. Um, and and there's an outside, um, and we will be outside, because it's Florida. It's Florida in
Florida.
February. I forgot the biggest thing. This is Florida in February. I'm so glad that Ayn Rand chose to be born on February 2nd, because that obviously is a joke, but because here in Florida, it's warm, it's pleasant. This is the height of the season down here. So come down and join us, and we'll be outside part of the time. In the evenings, there's a fire pit, and the hotel has a swimming pool, and it's really it's a lovely venue, I think, for a small venue.
Right. Right.
Anything else that I forgot?
Sandra had something she wanted to add regarding organization.
Yeah.
Oh, we have, yeah.
I just wanted to mention that the Rand's Day Conference 2026 has a Facebook page now. I sent out about 275 invites this morning. So if we're friends on Facebook, you're going to get an invite to follow. It's primarily, it gives a little information about the conference, but the important thing is that it has a link to the actual website where you can get detailed information about the conference, and you can register there. So take a look. It's called Rand's Day Conference 2026. You can search for that and you'll get it. And I hope you follow us.
And more simply, you can go to randsday.com. Randsday. One word, no apostrophe. And there's a link to the conference there. It's now at the bottom of the page, but I'm going to make it more prominent. I'm going to move it up to the top. Ellen, what are you speaking on?
Well, before I speak on that, I just want to underscore what Lynn said and what Sandra has said. It was an incredibly benevolent conference. The atmosphere there was more like an objectivist playground, both with ideas and the benevolence and the access to people. When you talk about having lunch together or breakfast together, it's all in one room and you can hop from one table to the other and speak with other people. And Harriet's trivia was fabulous. It's funny. It isn't a serious thing. And I think Puya won at least once, one question or two.
Yes, he won.
And that was
Puya,
crazy.
Puya Nickmond,
Yeah.
our ex
And
Iranian refugee.
And Lynn was a wonderful master of ceremonies. It's just the whole atmosphere from beginning to the end is very playful, casual, joyful, and inspiring. And you're learning all together, which it should be, mind and body, heart and soul. So
Can I
anyway,
add something on that too? Because last year, Harry and I didn't actually stay at the hotel, but this year we are because
We don't want to miss out.
We don't want to miss out. And we felt like we did when we commuted in. So just saying.
So, okay, to my talk. Mine is bringing out the heroic in yourself. And I am bringing out a course that Lynn invited me to talk about that I gave at Wintergreen in 2007. And oh my gosh, that's almost 20 years ago. And it's just so exciting. I actually found my original notes for the course. And of course, like you, I think you said, Harry, I'm going to be building on it or reducing it, simplifying it and essentializing it. So the course, I'll start by telling you an experience, which is that yesterday I was at my grandson's 6-year-old birthday party, and he had 16 kids there, plus their siblings. Oh my God. So what I noticed was one of the 4-year-olds came running up and said, "Where's the Paw Patrol?" From very young ages, they're into Spider-Man, Paw Patrol. They're into their heroes that motivate them. I didn't hear a Darth Vader anywhere. My kids will dress in costumes, my grandkids, that are Star Wars, but they take the heroes and heroines. And we do the same thing with Atlas Shrugged. Harris loves James Bond. We love Ayn Rand, and her heroes inspire us. And Peter, you may not know this. In the Oxford English Dictionary, there is a word, heroize. You can heroize yourself.
Oh, heroize, yeah.
Heroize. And so the goal of my talk is to talk about what does it mean to bring out the hero in yourself. And what does it mean not to have that hero feeling inside yourself, where you feel that fear, guilt, frustration that you were talking about, Jean, the self-doubt, which mangles your mind. It's very hard to pursue values when you have that threat-oriented approach to life rather than loving the values, loving your mind, and learning how to read your own mind, how to introspect so that you can make your life better, both internally. You will have inner struggles, the conflict, that split-second moment. Do I speak up for my values or not? Do I pursue them or not? For example, they may be small. These are not small values, but ones that you may not think of as heroic on the grand scale, like Francisco or Galt. They are major in your life, though. Do I go to the gym or not? I haven't been able to get myself there, some people will say. How do you identify the choice points that help you get to the gym? Or you have a very difficult relationship with somebody and they're a friend and you want to bring up a difficult point. I know I have a relative who was able to face that challenge rather than zipping their lips and not speaking up. Or you have some struggles in a romantic relationship and you want to resolve them first within yourself. What's my contribution to them, to the problem? And what are we doing together that isn't a lovely dance that we could get better? So it's learning, using the values of objectivism that we know, the honesty, the integrity, wanting to make yourself better, that pride that you can earn, to find the areas, or one or two areas, because I only have an hour talking them, and to find one or two areas in your life where you're feeling that internal battle, that struggle, where you feel the self-doubt, and to figure out one small step you can take to make your life better. We're going to be talking about how to make those steps and how enormously important small steps are. Whether it's, one of my coaches said to me, "Oh my God, I got myself to the gym. I am celebrating that." Another person might have said, "It's just one time. What's the use? Why bother? I probably won't keep it up." What you say to yourself really matters. And if you have the hero attitude, you can make your life more and more enjoyable, happier, and you'll be living a life more in line with your deepest values, objectivism. When you don't do that, it's like saying, well, my values don't matter. What's the use? Why bother? You don't want to do that. So my talk is on bringing out the heroic in yourself, and I can't wait to speak. And I have so much to say that I wish I had 20 hours, but I don't. And I want to thank Lynn for the invite, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, Alan. That sounds very interesting. And I think you will probably attract a large and grateful audience. Shoshana, whom I saved for last by chance, but she's one of the best. Shoshana, would you tell us what you're going to talk about?
I'll tell you something about it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little
okay.
too loud, a little too close to the mic.
Okay. All right. Well, first up, I was not at the conference last year, but I heard very good things about it. And what I've just heard from the people who are planning to speak, it's interesting. The talks fit with each other, and all of them are actually about you. You know, what the audience is to get and how the audience is to change. And my talk is definitely going to be different because I'm going to be talking about her. I'm going to be talking about the birthday girl and my work on Ayn Rand. And as you say, it's an hour, but here's a way of thinking of the focus of what I want to share. First off, my interest always in looking at Ayn Rand is in what's important about her. You remember that when Rourke and Mallory talked about, you meet people and they're not interested in what's most important. Well, I'm interested in what's most important. Now, in a sense, everything is related to everything else, but what's most important about Ayn Rand is that she's the philosopher and novelist who wrote Atlas Shrugged. That's who she is. She's the woman who wrote Atlas Shrugged and all the other books. And so I would want anything that I say about her to be familiar to her is, yes, that's who I am. And to us, and yes, that is coherent with the person who wrote those books. That's one of the things that's sometimes missing in other treatments of Ayn Rand is that's not the person who wrote those books. So I'm talking this time about the year 1926, and that's interesting in various ways. It's the year she came to the United States, but also we're in a situation in which right now, I don't think there's anyone around now who knew Ayn Rand in 1926.
Right.
Just saying. And so I'm working with documents, I'm working with what people said in the past, and with what Ayn Rand herself said, and with trying to put together different things, pieces of information that we know, with what Ayn Rand became after 1926. So that's kind of my method here, and I was asked to feature in the description some pieces of information that might be new to you, which is true. I always have something that's new to people. But of course, it's also within the framework of things that you already know about her coming to the United States and her being in Chicago and her going to Hollywood and DeMille and Frank O'Connor and all of that. But information that I learned and that's related to 1926 and to everything that came after. And here I just want to say something about, it's not that I don't have ESP. I can't summon her to a seance and ask her questions and have her tell me things. But what I do have, I think, is that I've been with her and with her writing and with the questions for long enough that I remember something. And when the information comes to me, I know how it fits in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which reminds me, by the way, that Harry, when you asked us the trivia question, I'm not sure I heard it right because I thought you said, or did it, Miss Francon? And I thought that maybe you actually.
Or do you?
Yeah.
Do you, Ms. Franco?
Yeah, that's right. I thought you didn't quite have it right. What I thought was, what came to my mind was, I didn't think it would make any difference to you who came or did it, Miss Francon. And
No, that's not that.
that's not it. Okay, all right. So it's something different. All right, very good. Because that's interesting, isn't it? That she's got somewhat similar turns of phrases and uses them in different places. But what does happen to me sometimes is that I've got a piece of information, someone tells me something about an individual, or I see a document, or I read something that Ayn Rand read, and then that fits in with something else. It's evidence. It's evidence, but it's not evidence in isolation, but it fits in with something else that I know and that I'm glad to know. So that's where we are with 1926. I don't have a time machine, but I do have a lot of written information, and I do have people who told stories over time. And I'll just say one last thing, because I think we're used to thinking of Ayn Rand as she is, an impeccable source on herself. It's also true that we ourselves, when we tell our own stories, sometimes we need to check. And sometimes the first words that come out of our mouths are not exactly the way things happened. And I think that when she did her recorded interviews, she was expecting for some of the material afterwards to have a chance to check, which didn't happen, because of the circumstances. So part of what I've done is I've tried to check, to look and to confirm and to coordinate and to make coherent the story, I think, very interesting story of Ayn Rand's year 1926. Not quite day by day, but month by month, as it was when she got off the boat, took the train, came to the United States. So that's it.
So it's the 100th anniversary is the hook.
Well, yes, and it doesn't mean I'm going to keep coming back every Rand's Day and doing 1927, 1928.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
we want you to.
Yeah. Well, but this was a really good year. They're all good years, but I don't know if we'll still be. Well, anyway, that's the particular relevance of 1926 is that we're now in 2026.
You're right, as always. It's or did it, Miss Francon?
Okay.
And you know where it comes up.
Yeah, it's on page 215 in here.
I can see the trivia contest is going to be more difficult this year because Shoshana is going to be there.
We may have to have special rules.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Shoshana, you might want to mention to people, if they don't know, that you're still working on a lengthy biography of Ayn Rand.
Yes, that is true.
You
And
should say that. Not everybody knows that.
right, then everybody knows it, and then everybody says to me, "When is it going to be done?" And and I've seen the agony and the ecstasy, so I remember what Michelangelo said, right? It'll be done when it's finished. You know that, yeah. Anyway, thank you. You're completely right. I should say that it's not an idle interest. It's an attempt to put the whole story together in writing. Basically so that people can read it. So it's a book I would have been happy to read when I first read Ayn Rand. I would have been happy to see that as I do with other literary figures, what happened. And it's very exciting, actually, when you read a good biography and you put it together with what you know of the person's work. and it's the whole story. It's this, and as Ayn Rand said, my biography is on every page of Atlas Shrugged. That's who I am. But it's also true that if you just read The Fountainhead, you don't know everything that there was that made Ayn Rand Ayn Rand. So yeah, I'm telling that story. Thank you for reminding me to plug the book. Thank you.
You must have read several biographies of Hugo.
Yes.
Now, there's a life writ large.
Yes.
He was quite a character.
He was quite a character, and he was also quite, like Ayn Rand, I'm sure you know this, he was a saver. He kept journals, he kept notes, he kept personal records in code.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, in French, of course. I mean, not everything's been translated, but yeah, he was, and while he was in exile, of course, he didn't have the usual interruptions in his life. He wasn't in politics then. So there's a lot of information about his life. And he wrote, back then they wrote, well, actually letters, we write letters now. You
Yeah.
probably know that Mike Berliner's edition of the letters is out in an expanded edition. It's on Kindle right now. I had that on pre-order. It arrived in my Kindle the next very day it was published. A lot of wonderful letters by Ayn Rand in full versions. And Hugo wrote letters, and his friends wrote letters, and his wife wrote letters, and his wife and his mistress wrote letters, and they all wrote letters even when they were living near each other. So it's
this is Hugo we're talking about here.
This is Hugo. Ayn Rand, not so much with the every day's letters to everybody, but I think letters are quite illuminating. And Hugo's, he had his journals, he had his letters, he had all the books, and well, I have not read every biography about him, but I've read a lot of them, and I think it's a good story. Graham Robb is the book in English that I found pretty useful. But
which one?
Graham Robb, R-O-B-B.
I don't know that one. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to confuse Ayn Rand with Victor Hugo. They're different people, but
yes,
but both of them are people for whom the life and the work come together.
Right. Thank you very much. And we have just a few minutes left for Q&A,
Hey,
unless
Harry?
I left someone out.
I would like to say a couple more words because we have two speakers who aren't here. Don Watkins, who is going to be speaking about what he wished he knew about capitalism when he started speaking about capitalism 20 years ago. So I think there'll be that should be a really interesting speech from Don. And Yaron Brook is coming as well. And he is going to be speaking about the free trade debate. So that will, as with Yaron, it's always interesting what he has to say. I'm looking forward to that. And then Peter and Harry and Yaron are doing a panel in the evening. I think it's Saturday evening.
Mm-hmm.
And that panel is going to be science fiction-y, I think. It's what is the future? What would an ideal society be like? Isn't that the subject of your panel?
Partly, it's really it's that, and it's also encouraging the attendees to raise questions about what they might see as problems that could arise in a complete laissez-faire society, and our explanation of how that would be dealt with.
Oh, that sounds great. So I just wanted to alert you to that we have two other speakers and good
Two other terrific speakers.
two others.
Yeah.
All of this, I think all of the speakers are terrific. I'm very excited about
Well, I have some doubts about me, but yeah.
the lineup. Well, Harry, I know you're, but it's your I mean, we're here with you, so I'm going to say good things.
Thank you. You're my support. Okay. Then let's turn it over to Q&A from the participants. And let me see if there are any. I have a little difficulty seeing hands. You're not raising your hands. Okay. Then I will tell you the questions you might have asked if you had the wit, to quote Cyrano. You might say, how warm is it in Florida in February? And my guess is it will be a high of 80 and a low of 68. That's the kind of range. We do get cold snaps when the northeast freezes. It does get down colder here, so it could be a high of 60 even. But generally, we expect a high of the upper 70s or low 80s, which is what we have right now. Right now, it's 80 degrees. What other questions might you have asked?
Someone might
You
want to
got
know
one?
about the price and when is the early payment deadline before the price
How
goes
did
up?
we leave that out? The price is discounted if you register before December
December
31st.
30th.
No,
Dece-
December 30th counts, and I want it to be December 31st, but I'm not a member of the organizers. It's $437 after January 1st. From January 1st on, it goes up to what, like 12,800?
Bruce has raised his hand since he is also one of the organizers. He might have something to say on this.
Bruce Van Horn.
I think you need to unmute.
Yes, the price goes up to $509 after December 30th. But I was comment on the temperature. Yes, it's warm here in Florida, but it seems that public establishments like to keep their indoors cool. Bring a sweater, bring a light jacket. You will need it. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Is it the traditional overcooling of the conference rooms?
Yeah, and we have little control. We can
I see.
modify the temperature a little bit, but we don't have too much control over that.
Okay. Yeah. Bring a
Wait,
jacket or a sweater.
Bruce or Lynn, do you want to mention the price of the hotel rooms? Because I don't know it. No?
I don't remember the price. Lynn, do you remember the price?
It's $234 per night.
Per night.
And and the reason
Per
that
room.
per room,
Per room. Yeah.
and the reason that the price is December 30th is the hotel said that that's when they stop guaranteeing that they will have a room for us. There may be rooms after that, and you can still get it at that price if there are rooms, but they don't guarantee that there'll be rooms. And so that's on after December 30th. So we just went along with their date. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To make it simple so that you don't have to remember several different dates.
Yeah.
One date.
Yes. And I had trouble with that date. So, yeah. So again, it's Friday night, Saturday day, Sunday day, and there's what, breakfast on Monday?
Yes, free breakfast with your room on
Mhm.
Monday. And some of us will be going to the Edison.
Talk about that.
So, Bruce, you're better at that, talking about this than I am.
It's the Edison Ford Winter Estates. It's where Henry Ford and Thomas Edison bought property next to each other where they lived. And actually, Edison did some of his experiments in the early 30s. And it's a large area with all, you spend more than one day there. They have indoor exhibits of what Edison and Ford did. There's an outside tour that we will take part in, and you'll see a lot. You can spend 3 days there and not be done with it.
And
This is the extra. This is
Right.
in connection with the conference. If you're there, it can be arranged separately.
Right. You have to
But
pay separate for it. Yeah.
It is
And-
going to happen. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Available. It's
and
available. Yeah.
And Edison did biological experiments down here, and that's what this research is about: is the biological research, not his work with radio and other phonographs and all of electricity, right?
And
So it's botany, right? It's not
Right.
zoology. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, Steve, our fellow objectivist Steve Palafker is a volunteer guide at the Edison. He does some of the tours of the lab there. And we will take part in that if we want to.
Good. Yeah. And last time you did that, and it was
Yes.
quite, I didn't make it, but those who did said it was quite good. Okay. Let's wrap this up, and thank you all for coming and participating. I think it's going to be a terrific conference. I don't get any particular monetary compensation. I just sincerely do think it'll be good. And of course, I'm speaking, and I want a big audience there for my speech, but that's the only reason. The fact that it is good and I want it to succeed are the only reasons why I'm plugging it. Thank you very much for attending Meeting of the Minds, and I'll see you next week. We'll continue with the after party on an informal basis after we say goodbye for today.